Hello, and welcome to the BigTime Strength Podcast, featuring small school strength coaches from around the nation that are making the big time where they are at. Before we get to the episode, we'd like to thank our sponsors that make this podcast possible. TeamBuildr is a strength and conditioning software that allows coaches to build training programs, create wellness questionnaires, access and track athlete data, and more. Athletes can log data using phones, tablets, or laptops and can watch exercise videos so they know exactly what to do. Coaches can use the tools within the platform to monitor athlete recovery and readiness. Be sure to sign up now with code BigTime and you will gain access to a 30-day free trial. This episode is also brought to you by Powerlift. Taking your athletic facility from concept to completion can be a challenge. It is Powerlift's goal to make the process as seamless as possible from start to finish. Their weight equipment is made from the toughest materials that can withstand excessive use from coaches and athletes for years to come. It's sought after for its unique design, customizable appearance, affordability, and superior warranty that training facilities deserve. Powerlift helps design weight rooms with the athlete in mind, and they pride themselves on their ability to outfit athletic facilities based on a team's unique goals. That's why high schools, universities, professional sports teams, and athletic performance facilities around the world have chosen Powerlift to help maximize their strength training goals. Call Powerlift today to be contacted with a rep in your area and give us a follow on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter to see for yourself why our clients are Powerlift proud. Finally, this episode is also brought to you by Vitruve. Vitruve is a velocity-based training system designed for colleges and high schools around the world. It is accurate, reliable, and affordable. The software is quick and easy to set up and use with a whole room of athletes simultaneously. Coaches have chosen Vitruve because it simplifies VBT and allows them to seamlessly integrate it on a daily basis. Check out Vitruve now for your school's free demo unit. Now, let's get to this week's episode. Hello and welcome to another episode of the BigTime Strength Podcast. I'm excited to have somebody on that we've already heard from one time, but it was in a round table, and I think the one-on-one variations are great too. So when you have round table, there's a lot of thoughts that can be shared, some discussion that can be spurred on. But when you go solo, you do a solo show, and we can just really focus in on what coach is doing in their setting. It makes it a lot of fun. So happy to have Coach Pherson on again, and just hear, yeah, exactly. There we go. Just hear from him about how he's doing it in his setting really well. I would like him to still start out with like a recap of what his setting looks like, just so people can relate if this is the first podcast they're hearing from him. But from there, we're just going to dive into some questions, have some good discussion, and also just to announce this or shout it out that he's got an awesome podcast also. So if you want to ever check that out, we'll put it in the show notes and make sure you all can hop on that one too. So Coach, welcome to the show again. Appreciate you coming on. And it's late for you, man. It's late for you.
That's all right. That's all right. That's all right. Yeah. So I'm in northern Indiana, Elkhart, Indiana. I'm at a school called Concord High School. If you Google it, you can find us on the Sornex website because we got an awesome weight room. But that's my situation. Indiana's real big in that we just released our enrollment numbers. So I know that I'm at like 1,780 or something like that. So just under 2,000. So 5A football here in Indiana. I do 0 hours for junior high and for high school. I teach kind of a recap of our episode like you told me to do. So I have classes throughout the day. I also do some after school stuff. Some things I didn't talk about on the round table. I also volunteer my time as a youth coach as well for my kids' teams and stuff. So I'm literally coaching about the time my head gets off the pillow till the time it goes down on the pillow. I'm trying to coach and I don't know, make the big time where I'm at, so to speak. But that's where I'm at in Indiana. A good size high school that we're trying to get things going, developed Concord strong. When I got there, which is interesting because somebody was DMing me about getting together and just talking. But my interview, I talked about it on one of my podcasts and stuff, was I was looking over your list of questions that we alluded to, and I was like, man, I'd rather just do it so organically. But one of the first ones was like mission statement and core values. And it's interesting because when I kind of got recruited to go out there, because the football coach heard about me through Adam Lane. If you've never talked with Adam Lane, awesome strength coach in Indiana. He's at Decatur Central right now. But it's so cool in this business of you, what you do gets noticed and who you are gets noticed. And Adam being a dude, I'm very comfortable with saying, I appreciate him for everything that he does. But when, Craig, our football coach, was looking for someone, he name dropped me when I was at another school, and I had no interest in leaving until I got on the Sornex website, saw the school, had some awesome phone conversations with Craig, and then kind of took the interview over and built this mission statement, core value, like everything, just gave him everything I was doing. And ever since that day, after talking with Craig on the phone, it has been nonstop trying to make that vision a reality there. Through all the different social media stuff that we do, I try to be really, really open with everything we're doing through our parent page, through Instagram, through TikTok, like just trying to show the kids how to win, but also how to just be better. Shout out to one of my other buddies, but just to be better. Like I don't know. I guess I kind of took that and ran with it for a second there, but that's kind of where I'm at in the high school setting. But someone who does get it, who puts in a lot of hours, but also I serve on the advisory board for Indiana. And I'm Matt's assistant, which Matt Cates just won the National Coach of the Year out of Penn High School, which is maybe 30 minutes from my spot. So I'm also very fortunate, not only being a strength coach that found his way into this industry when through a weird way, but to be in Indiana with so many awesome high school strength coaches, where Kevin Vanderbush started this thing for us, and to be able to call these guys my friends and to text them and call them, it's pretty awesome. So if I haven't lost any listeners yet, that would be a big thing, is reach out to coaches, and either thank them or pick their brain. And we can get a lot more accomplished together.
Yeah, absolutely. I wasn't until like Kevin Vanderbush was kind of somebody that I'd listened to back when I was in college. Just he was doing like an SCA conference that had been recorded, and I stumbled upon it. And at the time, I was like, I wasn't super interested in being a high school strength coach. And then the more I listened to him, and there was a couple clips from Gary Schofield and a few others, like I was just like, man, this is a really cool situation. And I had seen a high school in Kansas City really do it in a big way, in a really awesome way. And I was like, man, maybe this
Yeah.
is a possibility of something I want to look into. And I hadn't realized that Indiana was such a hot spot for strength and conditioning. But went to Indianapolis for the NHS SCA national conference a few years ago, and was
Mhm.
blown away at that too. And I'm like, holy cow, this is pretty big. So Indiana doing it right, and
Oh yeah.
have a lot of resources within your state, a lot of people that know what they're doing. And when that happens, like it just makes sense for schools. It makes sense to be able to hire somebody that can do the strength and conditioning in-house, hopefully through physical education classes, and be able to get that done during the school day. Or at least that's the way it seems to work the best in Iowa, not to speak for Indiana. What would you say?
No, no, I'd agree. I mean, if you think about it, we put a lot on kids, and I believe in multi-sport. I don't believe in sport specific training whatsoever. I think that's just getting better at your sport. That's called practice. But the reality is, the stronger, faster, more injury resistant athlete is your better athlete. So they need to have that time dedicated to that. Well, like when we were in the roundtable and Paul's talking about, guys coming back after school and stuff, I'm like, that's tough for that kid. And then in our area specifically, it's not wealthy or anything. These kids probably also have to work too. So how are you expecting this kid that wants to play sports, which I think, once again, all admitted bias, being a coach and being a father and wanting my kids to play sports, I believe that playing sports gives you a leg up in life. It teaches you how to not only communicate, but strive for something that you believe in, striving for a goal. It teaches you how to goal set. It teaches you how to work through disappointment. It teaches you how to not be afraid to go after something. And when you don't get it, it should hurt, and not just be numb to it. It should hurt. And I think it's just important. I think that being in athletics from an early age on, and And I just feel that that's very important, but it also gives them a better understanding, a better ability at those sports. But also, if you look at all the studies, hey, they're going to be smarter too. If they can get that movement done during the day, because geez, sitting in desk for 8 hours a day. I mean, who wants that? I just don't think it's right. So I just think it's a great piece for any school to invest in, to especially if you want your best and your brightest to take those AP classes, which are unnecessary in my opinion. And I took APs, but hey, whatever. I didn't get to take weights when I was in high school. But you take these classes, let them train so that they're injury resistant, so they're not getting hurt. Because right now, if you ask them to stay later or get up early or any of that stuff, now when are they doing their homework? Which is a whole nother topic, that why you got to give them so much dang homework. But it's, I don't know. I think it's, what are we doing? What's best for kids? That's the bottom line. And I'm studying right now for my master's, and it was an awesome piece, lecture that we're on right now that's talking about, how they say knowledge is power. And the individual giving the lecture was, knowledge isn't power anymore, it's application. There are so many people, and that's like a John Wooden quote, that you can find the coach's graveyard of all these people that know everything but can't coach. They can't relate to people. And we're in a people business. And I think from a coach's perspective, we want to do what's best for kids. And I think, school administration and stuff like that does too, but I think they get blinded by testing and numbers, just like sometimes a strength coach can get blinded by, oh, we got to do fly tens this and jump this and do all this. And it's like, can you coach? Can you relate to that kid? Do you know what they're going through? Can you make them feel better? Can you make them want to be in the freaking room? I think that stuff's more important than really anything, because you can cue them. You can have 1,000 cues, which by the way would also be bad, but you can find different ways to have cues. But if they don't, like, you don't notice anything else about them, you're not going to reach them. So I think that's way more important with what we do.
Hmm. Yeah, like when you start to frame things up of what's best for kids, or what is the best way to be able to reach the goals that we want, and if that's for kids, that's like living a lifestyle of wellness, their whole life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully we can impact athletics in a positive way. If we can help them with their health during high school, it's like you can mix all that in right into this awesome period during the day.
Yep.
I don't see. I know there's some schools that are handcuffed and they have to do everything before school or they have to do everything after school. But
Yeah.
man, as soon as you can start to put it into your school day, I think a lot of schools will see the benefit, and it can be a culture changer in a lot of ways. I'm not just talking athletics. I'm talking about just across classroom to classroom and hallway to hallway. Like it can be a big deal. And um, I'm a strength coach, so I'm biased towards saying stuff like that. But like I really do think it's that type of a game changer. And uh, I guess my biggest push here in Iowa is trying to teach and help as many high schools in Iowa as possible, because I didn't have that experience. In the same way you said you didn't have that experience. Like
Mhm.
that stinks. It really does. It's I don't know. It's something that I'm very passionate about, I guess.
No,
Here's
I hear you. That's why I'm on the advisory board. That's why, and I fully admit my bias, but once again, I think it's not just like, oh, we're going to make them have a good time. Like, once again, you've got to learn to struggle in life. There's so many people that need to pop a pill or do whatever because they just don't know how to, like, work for something, or don't know how to deal with loss, or don't know how to deal with anything. And the the Henry Rollins quote, the 200 pounds is always 200 pounds. The weight room saved my life. Like, it's just, I need it. And I feel like it can be there for other kids. I've seen other kids go through things that they can find that good spot in the weight room. And it's something you can do for your whole life. So it's important, but also winning is important. Being strong is important. These things are important.
yeah, mix it all together, throw it all together, and yeah, I love it. Um, Well, there's a couple things I want to dive into, I guess, along the lines of this. One of them is you alluded to it in the first question of like the amount of stuff that you're doing for social media. And I've started to, in the last like 3 to 4 weeks, I've started to follow along with the things that you're doing, and just blown away with the amount of stuff that you're able to showcase for your kids and in a positive way. And I think it's just really cool when coaches do that. Um, and they allow it to be a resource for their kids and for their community and for their school district. Can you talk a little bit about your social media
Yeah.
presence and mission with it? Like what's the point of what you're doing?
Well, like typical me, someone made fun of me for it, so I leaned into it. I believe someone called me a social media whore like 3 or 4 years ago, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll dive all the way in then, buddy. But then I realized how amazing of a tool it is, and if you'll notice, it's rarely ever showcasing me. And also, you'll hear those coaches like, "I don't have time to record. I'm coaching." Okay, cool. I'm coaching too. My kids are strong as heck, but I can hold like Instagram stories. I can take my phone, hold down the story. I mean, it is raw, unedited, anything, unscripted. I'm holding a button down and I'm walking around the room. I've even had parents say, "Hey, can you not spin the camera so much? I'm getting dizzy when I'm trying to watch some of your stories." So I've tried to do better at that, but it's showing our stories are constantly, it gives not only the kids, because the kids all talk about it. You talked earlier about culture. I can walk through the school, everybody knows me. And that's not like, ooh, look at me, I'm Mr. Popular, but everyone knows I'm the strength coach. I'm the weights guy, whatever they want to call me, dude with the beard. But they know me and they all watch them and they watch their friends and they talk about what's going on in class, not just the athletes, but they know what we're doing for the day. And that's why we've done like a flipped classroom, which is a UDL model of teaching. I used to also teach math. And I alluded earlier, I didn't like homework. I could record myself teaching the lesson, say, go home, that's your homework. You're going to watch how we do this. And then we spend time in the class doing the application of the skill because that's the lifting part of it. So I can put something on TeamBuildr, show them everything we're doing. I can do my weekend updates. I can do the wave videos. The wave videos are kind of fun. The interns like making them. But we make our wave videos and we show every little piece that we're doing. Now they have it in TeamBuildr where it's all typed up and it has the videos from TeamBuildr plus what I'm adding. Then they have it on Instagram or TikTok. And then we can talk about it for like while we're doing warm up. So you're meeting the kids where they're at. They're on their phone. There's no getting around it. They're on their phone. Okay. So why not just lean into it? And if you're truly about what's best for kids, putting kids first, which is what we should be about. We're servant leaders. Coaches are servant leaders. We shouldn't be the pound the chest, look at me person. We should be servant leaders to get the most accomplished and to get those kids to rally around you and create the best culture possible. When you do that and you meet them where they're at, which is their phone, it is what it is. That's where they are. Okay. It's not like I'm going to go driving around the neighborhoods and knocking on doors and giving them, hey, this is what we're doing this week. Like I can do it that way. If I send an email out to parents, kids ain't going to see that. And that's why I did create a Facebook parent page, but most of the parents have told me, I love your Instagram. That's probably the number one thing I hear from parents is we love your Instagram. Great. Then I'm just going to keep making the videos, make them the stars of it, and promote them. Once again, we're not a school that wins a whole lot right now. We're getting better. But that's something that you can make them feel proud about it. When we do a big lift, that's our championship. When we do a PR party, that's a championship for us. When we win games, we celebrate them. There's nothing wrong with celebrating kids, especially in a day and age when mediocrity is celebrated so freaking much. Why not actually celebrate something successful, something that they tried their hardest on? And we do boards, we do clubs, we do all kinds of stuff. So the social media, it started off as okay, I'm going to lean into it. And then I saw the response. They want to be on it. I do an AMRAP system. So that's a challenge in that they want their picture. They want to be on the board and on the Instagram story. No problem. You got to earn it. And we've kind of roll all that stuff in. And a big thing is like making sure that the parents are always educated as to what we are doing. Everyone knows. If you want to know every single thing we've ever done between my website, the socials, and everything else, you could easily piece together exactly. I'm talking every rep percentage, maybe even what the room temperature was. Like it's all there because there's nothing to hide. You want to be completely open. And I think that's what helps breed our our success that we're starting to have and the culture. I think we have a really good culture. I really do. And I think it permeates the school a little bit, and I'm excited about that.
Yeah. There's a certain level of self-confidence that a coach has to have to be that open. And I think that's something that sometimes even with social media stuff, like I struggle with. I mean, it's just one of those things where it's like second guessing or never wanting pushback or where you leaned into somebody saying something to you.
Oh
When I
yeah.
could just be like, I always find it really awesome when a strength coach knows what they're doing. They're putting information out there for others to learn from and put themselves out there in general. It just, it's a certain level of confidence is pretty cool. So good work with that.
It wasn't easy. I mean, I make it sound like it was, and to an extent of what you do, it's not that hard to do it. But I mean, I really suffer from imposter syndrome. I mean, we're talking an overweight kid for a majority of the elementary years that made his way to being a varsity high school athlete, but it's not like I went on and played college sports. I'm not gifted strength wise. Um, I go into these rooms like even with the guys that I mentioned earlier. You got Kevin and Adam Lane and big old Matt Cates with his huge arms. And first time I met Adam Lane, he was a professional strongman. You see all these big hulking dudes, hence why I grew the beard. Like when I walk in the room, hey, I at least got the beard, y'all. And it was tough because it was so hard to feel like you belonged in this almost fraternity of strength coaches. And that's what's so cool about strength coaches, though. They're the most humble. Aaron Latinsky, I just met him like a year or two ago. He just benched 550 in a meet the other day. And he is the nicest. Like I can text, call him anytime. I still do. And he's over at Plymouth High School. And he's just such a great guy. And they all are. And it's because we're servant leaders. And when I finally realized these are my people, they sure, we all have a certain look. I look intimidating, the way I talk. Once again, the tattoos, the beard, all that stuff. I can look it. I'm not as big as everybody else. I mean, I'll give them all kudos. All them strength coaches, some big dudes. But I think it helped me to know that I'm doing the best thing for my kids. And then the kind of that whole imposter syndrome feeling went away. It was, well, I may not be the strongest in the room, but I don't need to be because I can make you the strongest version of you. And that is my job and that is my purpose. It's not about me, it's about them. And so lean into that hard and showcase them and celebrate them and be happy. Kind of works out pretty well for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a good way to frame it up. I think a lot of people could really relate to that. Just the way that you ended that right there is like being able to bring it back to the reason why you're doing it allows you to put yourself out there a little bit more along the way too. So that's good stuff. What about as you're building up a program, you're talking about how you believe that the culture is going in the right direction. You think it's in a really good spot. Teams are starting to see more success, those type of things. There's a ton of hurdles that are in your way that you have to be able to figure out. All those challenges, all those things that go into getting a program where it needs to be. Maybe speak to a couple of your challenges that you've had to overcome, and then also talk about like what was the process of getting it to where it is now.
Hey, like I said, most of those people on my phone know my struggles because I'll text and call them. I'm not afraid to break some eggs, man. It may not be the most popular thing, but in my heart of hearts, and where I'm coming from, I'm putting the kids first. And sometimes that can frustrate other individuals because I won't look at their point of view as much, and that'll get me into some hot water every once in a while. But dealing with it, it's trying to meet them on their level of stuff when it comes to like administration, things like that. Coaches, you always have that problem of wherever I've been, whether it be Concord, East, North Central. Especially when you're new, coaches will not necessarily agree with your way. And I think that's the one that many coaches can relate to is how can I get them to understand what I am trying to do? And what sucks is if you replace someone's buddy If you replace someone, because I've everywhere I've been, I've come in and replaced someone. If you replace someone, you just kind of gotta take it on the chin for a year or two and understand that it's not necessarily you in the situation. It like if I came in or if you came into a new spot, they're not going to like any of us. So you got to almost let them go through their grieving process of wishing it was someone else, of wishing that their friend or their former colleague wasn't there anymore, or the person that they recommended for the job. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not, when you first walk into a place, not everyone's going to want you to be there. And with typically we have very alpha domineering personalities, and that can rub people the wrong way, especially those in education. Because maybe a lot of head coaches tend to be alphas, but in my opinion, counselors aren't necessarily that type A alpha type of person. And when you come at someone, loud and boisterous and stuff, it can be seen as aggressive, even though that may not be your intentions. And I have had to apologize. Admittedly, I've told several people at Concord, like, hey, I'm sorry. That's not what I meant. And as I've grown as a coach and the stops I've been able to see it from their perspective. Like, I stop and I'll have a sit down with them. I was like, explain to me. And, Heather Bone is our secretary to our principal. And her and I just had a sit down one time because she's like, you just talk this way and I can't deal with it. And I'm like, I don't mean it like that. And we literally just sat down and talked, and now we are cool as can be. Like, and it's just understanding where people are coming from. And the bottom line is, if you're in the school setting, you should be in the school setting for the right reasons. Unfortunately, not everybody is. Or some of them are just what I call the clock punchers. And you'll see, because their parking lot's they're the first ones to leave and the last ones to get there. So I never see their vehicle because I'm first and last. I don't see their cars. But those are some of the hurdles that you've had to deal with when it comes to coaches not agreeing. You just got to not take it personal and show that you're on their side. And another way I think that helps a lot is to go to their games, even if you aren't necessarily clicking, and understand that, we don't have to click. Like, it's cool, but the kids and I do, and the kids need to with you. And, the art of war is divide and conquer, and kids are smart. So if they can pit the strength coach against the sport coach, they're the ones that are winning out of that. They it's a little game sometimes to some kids, not everybody. So you can't let them divide you. I think athletic trainers, my last ones at East were awesome. I miss those ladies. They were so great. But sometimes they don't get what we do in some spots. And I've had to talk to not only them, but also like fellow strength coaches to try and get their perspective. Because a lot of the guys up in Michigan have that ATC background. Because I went up to their clinic, and like my dude Joe, he still has it for like 25 years. But it's just it's staying in your lane. And unfortunately, sometimes you still have to check people. Like, people may not want to hear that answer, but you, as a strength coach, this is something that I really want to push for, not just in Indiana, but everywhere. We need to be seen more as an administrator. Show me another position that deals with as many adults and kids as us at the same time. Sure, the head coach deals with all the kids of that sport and his staff, but we deal with their staff, all the coaches. So that's the AD role, right? Dealing with all the coaches and assistant coaches. Well, the strength coach does too, but the AD doesn't have to deal with all the kids at the same time like a strength coach does. So now we're dealing with all the kids. Oh, almost like a principal or somebody would. How is it not viewed as more of an administrative role? And that's something that I think it should be. And I think it helps the AD, because I believe an athletic director, they got to focus on the events. I don't want that job. I don't want to schedule buses and referees and set up and all that. But then if you're doing all of that, how do you have time to evaluate performances, and what criteria can you even base it on other than wins and losses? Whereas as a strength coach, you could literally see like, yeah, we don't have talent this year. Like, you can compare it to raw data. These kids are either slow or weak or whatever. Well, this class right here, coach, hang on tight. These freshmen, look at the numbers. we got something coming. And I think it could be a lot more dialed in. And maybe there are schools out there that do that. And I bet they win. I bet they win. I bet they're happy. And I bet everything, the wheels are churning. And I just see that as, if you can get that going in a lot of places, I think that'd be really good. I don't remember what the first question was. I just started rambling, bro.
No, it was good. We're going through challenges, and I think you nailed it pretty well
I
with
nailed a lot of them.
yeah, I just saw here recently on the NHS group page, they're talking about, somebody asked the question of like, has anybody ever gone down the road of like an assistant athletic director? And I really feel like that might be somewhere like close to what you're saying, is like kind of this role of helping out within the athletics department, um, because you are dealing with every sport, but then you're also dealing with the kids. And my biggest thing, like I read through some of the comments, is like, man, if you had to do events on top of all the mornings and coaching all day long, and then go to events where you have to do the setup and the tear down, and I think that's a really quick way to burn out, or at least from my perspective. Like,
Yeah, but I could see the profession evolving to, at least if it's truly performance based, which I believe our job is, and I believe that schools are in general. I mean, think about that. Your funding is based off of how well you do on standardized tests. I mean, absolutely nothing. So everything's performance based. Why not allow a true strength staff? So there could be that individual that oversees. There could be that individual that coaches throughout the school day, and then you have an assistant that can help with the before, after the events, stuff like that. There's ways to make it work, but the conversations need to take place to figure out, hey, how does that work? Because like what you just said, man, I can see you burning out on that. Yeah, that's probably why our job is one of the highest burnout rates. It's tough. I mean, shoot, it's not uncommon to put in 12 hours a day, 5 days a week, and it's not like we get bonus or overtime for it. I guess the only bonus we get is we get to wear shorts to work, as I get to hear quite often. You wear shorts every day. Yep, I sure do, because it's hot in the weight room.
yeah, yeah, that is a perk, but man,
Yeah, right. No, I'd rather be respected and paid, but
yes.
I'll take the shorts.
Whatever we want to go with. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Maybe just to continue down that road a little bit more of like those challenges and things that you've had to struggle through. Most coaches, they have to struggle through those similar deals. And when you go to a new situation and you're trying to get coaches on board, and you're trying to do it for the betterment of the kids and those relationships, it was cool to hear how, depending on the background of that coach, and if they're not getting along with you, being able to still not get divided. That was such a really good point, that I just noted. It's like, we want to still have a unified front. And I think most athletic departments that do that well are going to be successful between all the
Absolutely.
sports, because there's this unified approach. I think that's such a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can't take it personal. Now, if there's clashing, like I said, I try to mentor as many coaches that I can in the state. I do have a lot of people that I will talk to. So these aren't all just my stories, but I'm trying to help give it more of a broad thing. But if it is an issue when it affects the kids. It is an issue when it affects the kids. There's plenty of people that go to work that don't like every single one of their coworkers. That's fine. You don't have to like each other. You got to be able to coexist, and you got to be able to do what's best for the kids. Now, ultimately, it'd be great if everybody could play in the sandbox together. Then that's fantastic. Then you're going to have great days. You're going to have a great job. You're going to have a great career. But I don't know who said it originally, but it's go where you're celebrated, not where you're tolerated. So if everyone comes together and they all have the same mission and vision, it will work out very, very well. And some people's job is just to be a hater. Little Cat Williams there, but like, that's their job. And if that's what they want to do, if that's how they live their life, okay. But I get fired up too. I'm not going to say I'm an angel. I get angry as all get out, but I try to be as neutral as I can. Coming from the book, It Takes What It Takes. I preach that to a lot of people, is trying to have that neutral mentality. You can still have emotions, But understanding that you need to get to neutral, and I've at least matured in the fact that I don't make decisions when I'm angry anymore. If I get that certain email and everybody gets those emails, I have a 24-hour rule. I'm not going to fire right back, or I used to just march on down to wherever it came from or something like that. I was like, I'm not emailing. I'll talk to you what you need. But I've learned to be like, all right, written word is different, and not to take offense all the time, even though I still do sometimes, but that's all right. I'm human.
I'm on this mission right now to take down email. And I know it's been around a long time, but I'm on this mission of no more email. Let's see if we just get away from it and have conversations again where you say, like you don't want to march down and talk to somebody when you're heated. But sometimes once you get in the same room as somebody else, it's easy to tell, oh yeah, that's not what I meant by that email. It was more so like just writing it, There's so much lost in translation with it. So yeah, I don't think my mission will ever come through, but that's all right.
Hey, I'm not much of an email guy either. I text individually every single one of our head coaches trying to work on the summer calendar and whatnot. And it actually led to some text back. It led to some coaches coming in, some of the older coaches like, I didn't know what you meant by the text. I was like, cool, man, let's just talk about it. So it was perfect because I know with an email, a mass email sent to 20 responses or 22 or how many head coaches we got, it's going to be instant delete or a glance and I'll deal with it later and it goes on the back burner. So yeah, I'm not a big email guy.
Yeah. I hear it. That's awesome. Okay. You have almost 2,000 students in your school. The amount of kids that you are having come through the room and manage that many people, you've got to have some resources or some tools or apps or systems that you rely on, even if it's own systems that you've made, like different ways that you get things done. I am a sucker for efficiency. I love to hear how people make their room efficient and their training beneficial for as many kids as possible. What are some of your go-to things, some of the things that you just really enjoy using or organizing with?
TeamBuildr is fantastic. So I have TeamBuildr, but also I feel like I am really good at formatting Google Sheets now, man. My sheets look good. We have a big screen, like a big projection screen. I don't know it's huge, bigger than any TV. It takes up a whole wall and it's like a ceiling mounted projector. So it goes out onto that. So that's where I display my Google Sheet. I also have a whiteboard when you're first walking in the room where I'll write something on that. Sometimes it's just AMRAP numbers. Lately, it's only been for the past few weeks. I've been writing the workout there too. So I'm like, it is in your phone. It is on TikTok. It is on Instagram. It is on this whiteboard and it's on that big giant board there and it's on the screen on your phone. I can't help you any more than that. Like you got everything. And everything's time-based too. So I'm, depending on the day. So we talked briefly at the round table, but a quick recap, we're tier-based Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday. We do a wave system, where we go through our racks. Yep. If we're in that room, we're lifting weights. I don't have an activity center. I don't have anywhere else to go. But we do different things. So on the wave system, talking about organization, I'll have one row and then it'll rotate to the next row. So just D goes to C, C goes to B, B goes to A loops around to D. All those kids. So that's 7 racks. You got 3 to 4 kids in a rack. So that's, 20 plus kids at a time rolling. So you got 80 kids in there, but that's all rolling. Okay. So that's how we do it Tuesday, Thursday. And our after schools would be like that a lot too. I like the waving in the summer. Works really, really well for us, especially when we're getting more in because we'll have over 100 in there, like when football's in there. That's really the only efficient way to make that work. We also do just in the racks. When we do that, whether it's a wave or in the rack, we give them time. So I have a giant clock on an opposite wall. And old school timer though, man, it sucks. It's not very good. But we'll go up there and we'll set the time. And I always say this to them: the clock doesn't rule you. It's just a suggestion, but it's to keep you on task. I don't want to create a world of clock punchers that stare at the clock. I hate staring at the clock. unless we're doing triphasic and your partner has to do your 6-second count. Other than that, I don't want you looking at the clock, but I want you to have a good idea of, oh man, I'm a little behind. Oh, okay, I'm a little ahead. I have bonus stuff at the end. So if you do get done with everything that's planned, then there's prescribed bonus work that you can do. But it's always designed to get done. I want them done. I don't want to overload them with so much stuff that they can't. That being said, we do probably more volume than anybody. I've listened to some of your other podcasts, and I am percentage based, and I think it's amazing. So, but I think it works. I think telling a kid, hey, RPE 7 or something like that, and they have no concept of that. A percentage, once again, is a suggestion, just like my time. Everything's all relative in there. But it works for us. They understand it. I've been with them for 3 years now. Before it really was like, this is the number I have to hit. And they start to understand I'm not feeling that today. It doesn't mean you jump, 50 pounds away from it, but you need to be as close to that number as you can. Same with if you're feeling really, really great, we could bump up a little bit past that. I try not to let them bump up too much anymore. Cause in our cycles, we go 65%, 75%, 85%, 95%. Like we're going to go heavy every 4 weeks. And it's worked well. I've done that percentage load. It used to be a range where it was 60 to 70, 70 to 80, 80 to 90, 90 to 100 back in the 1A North Central days when I was in a little tiny weight room with no air, no windows, no anything. And I had notebooks, and I could just change their numbers based off these magic numbers or numbers that I knew. I called them magic numbers. It was basically about 4 over the cap. But it all falls within Prilepin's charts of relativity. So utilizing those percentages, utilizing those rep schemes, it's almost like the back of my hand now. Like it's hard to talk about. Like I want to just like bring up my sheet and just show you everything. Be like, see, it's very organized. It makes sense, and we plan it out for the entire year. I sit down, I know when all the breaks are, I know when I can do a 4-week cycle. I know when I need to switch it up and do a 3-week cycle. If we do that, we do a Windler program. I know when we have an off week, like when we come back from spring break, we have a random week. And then I got 2 4-week cycles before max outs, so that I have an open spot that week where we're just going to do like an Olympic focus, because we always roll our Olympics in anyways, but it could be something fun after spring break. And yeah, that's the systems, the clock, percentage, knowing what they're doing, always supersetting, getting them used to, you can't stand. We're constantly moving. We constantly work. That's why when I did start talking with Justin Loudon, who I think you've had on before as well, we talked about triphasic, and our kids really bought into it just simply because they didn't have, their superset was counting, and they really liked being able to just count rather than go do more work. So that was solid for them.
Oftentimes I tell our kids there are good and great coaches that do exactly opposite of what we do at Mount Vernon. And I'm not saying that what we do at Mount Vernon is bad. What I am saying is like there's a lot of different ways to get this done. And so like, I'll be very, very firm on what I believe and how I'm going to work a system. But really when it comes down to it, like if I was on a staff, like let's say at a college where you actually have a staff, right? I could implement any type of program and be cool with it. Like I get that everything is my big rock is consistency. If we can build consistency for 4 years, we have a really good shot of building a habit for the rest of your life and having some really good outcomes over the course of your high school career. But I laugh a little bit about the percentages because we were percentage based in college. And then as soon as I became a GA, we went APRE. I was just a big Brian Mann fan, and you still have to have a percentage baseline from that, but eventually it starts to just auto regulate from there. So that's why that's just the way that I've done it for a long time. It's not that percentages can't be done. It's just not my preference anymore.
Yeah. I like, and the reason we like them, because once again, is there 85% even their 85%? No, it never is. Not ever. Depending, like who knows what's going on, but our kids, I don't know if this is all kids everywhere, but our kids, and once again, you got to be where you're at. Our kids like to have the number. They like to know this is what I'm doing. I don't have to think. And then if this feels too heavy, I know I can go lighter. But if I just tell them, because we do parts where, for instance, our overhead split squats that we were doing, I said, just do a progressive set of fives, work up on your fives. They're like, well, what number? I'm like, five. Just it's our tier 3 anyways. Just fit 5 on it, and we'll mix those things in. And like for the after schools, we'll mix a lot of that kind of stuff in. But you talk about managing and stuff like that. When you're receiving 500 a day, to have something there, and then you can just adjust on the fly with those that need it, I think is a little easier to manage. 28 racks at a time than trying to, well, how you feeling today? Let's do this. Well, how you feeling? I can't. I can walk around and notice that you got your nails did or make fun of you real quick or something like that. But other than that, we can't. We got to go. So and that's pretty much how it works. Heck, it's so great now that first period our announcements have been going over. We call it yapping. So our principal's just been up there yapping, right? So I tell them, like, when the buzzard hits, we got to start warming up. So we're over on the turf and we're moving. And then it's we pause for the pledge, though. So it was I wish I had it on video, because we're sitting there, we're doing our high knees, going across the turf. We come through the middle. We got kids starting A skip. And then I hear the silence. So it's about to be pledge. I went, pledge. Everyone stop right in their tracks. Boom, turn, face the flag, get through the pledge, and right back to going back to our warm up. So it was really cool. But it's because the system of, they know, like a dog trained, they hear a bell, I must go to turf. I must start warm up. Like once you get it going, it works.
Yes. So that's the thing, that like when you have those systems in place and kids, they start to know it and they rely on that. There's a little bit to it of just like, man, I know the work that I had to get done. I can switch off my brain and just go. There's a lot of benefit to that, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Hey, when you talk through, you brought it up a couple times. I just wanted to dig in and figure out what it meant a little bit more. You talked about your AMRAP stuff. Can you explain a little bit more of what you're doing with that? I'm interested. I'm intrigued.
Yeah, not a problem. So this was actually the first, the Indiana clinic. I got to speak on this when I was at East, and we AMRAP our core lifts. So that is the clean. Yeah, I AMRAP the clean. Bring it. The squat, the bench, and the deadlift. And an AMRAP just means as many reps as possible, and it's the design of our program. Failure to me is mental, emotional, physical, technical. Okay. And we want you to be able to get to physical failure. The reality is that you are going to fail mentally and emotionally way before that. So we're trying to build that grit. We're trying to build that tougher athlete, that if you are physically capable of doing another rep, you need to do another daggone rep. Now, if technique goes bad, whenever technique goes bad, even if, let's say it's, 6-6 AMRAP, technique bad on 2, you need to be done. Like you're not doing it correctly. And I think that's the big difference between our style AMRAP and what would be, I don't know, like a CrossFit style or something, where they're just, because that's what I know every time I say it, that's what people are picturing, those ugly starfish, horrible cleans where they're dribbling the barbell off the ground like it's a basketball. And it's like, that's not what we do. And we had, like I said, had a video of it when I was at Columbus East, when I presented on AMRAP and competition sets. And I really like competition sets and AMRAPs. And the reason we did it is because typically when you're doing a competition in the weight room, the person who wins is the person who had the most weight on the bar, right? I mean, that's your winner. I lifted the most. But through building a resilient athlete, and not just one that was just big and couldn't move, why not have a competition set? And it's West Side stuff too, man. And I'm a huge West Side guy, but they would do competition sets. Is why not compete with the same percentage on the bar? Now, Peterson, you're way stronger than me. So if your squat's 100 more pounds than mine, or 200 more pounds is on the bar, but we're both doing our 75%, no. It's the same competition. So don't get upset if I get one more rep, Well, I did. What's the weight? That's always, once they get rolling with it, then they start asking, what's the weight? And I just always respond, 75% of their max, 80, whatever week we're on, 85% of their max, 95% of your max. And it normally takes, like when I first got to East and they didn't really believe me in it, it took 2 cycles and kids were repping their max. Oh, so you're telling me a weight that you could barely pick up for 1, you're getting for like 3 or 4 now? I guess you're getting stronger, huh? And I would yell out, not your max no more. And but it's our identity, it's our culture. Is it going to work everywhere? I don't know. If I'm there, it will, because that's what I'm going to build. I'm going to build you coach who you are, and that's who I am. I'm not going to get outworked. I'm not going to be the biggest, fastest, strongest, period. That's just not me. But I'm going to work, and it works in our weight room. Now, not everybody's going to go all out on it every time, and I understand that, and that's fine. And they know that that's okay. If you're not feeling it, get your minimum. We start off sometimes with ranges, where I'll give them a range and a cutoff number. Sometimes I have to give them a cutoff number because I've seen some stuff get really stupid. Like, and it's just, bottom line, it's just impressive when a kid can just hammer out a ton of reps. I mean, and you talk about culture of a room, when they're AMRAPing and you get a kid, you start yelling out the number of what they're on because they're going for the board, and then everyone comes around and they cheer for them, and then they're getting high-fived after that. I mean, you're not doing that when you pass a calculus test. You're not running up, yeah, you co-signed the crap out of that, and just high five. I don't even know if I said the right math term there, but like, it's, you get a game-like experience in the weight room. And how do you get better at athletics? It's through competition. Competition breeds success. Hence why I also believe in multi-sport athletes. If I want to be a better whatever XYZ player, but then I don't do anything in the offseason, you can't replace competition. Like, go out and compete in another sport. And I've said it to some of them. I was like, I think you're just afraid that you're not good at it, and you don't know how to handle not being good. You need to learn how to be better. And you're going to learn more in that in life than, just dominating at one thing that you're okay at because you were genetically blessed before other kids until puberty hits all of them. And then you're screwed because someone told you that you're an awesome 12-year-old, and now you're 15 and mad at the world because you put all your eggs in one basket. And they get lied to a lot with that stuff. I don't know how I turned it into that, but the AMRAPs competition, it's percentage based, but it literally is as many reps as you can get. And it breeds success in our room. I know what people think it's going to look like. I don't care. They're wrong.
Yeah.
Like, they think, oh, you're going to hurt someone. Well, I better knock on some wood because we've been good. Oh, you're not going to get strong that way. All right. Anybody can come look at our boards. They're pretty impressive. Oh, you're not going to get fast that way. I don't know. Pretty dang fast too. So it works for what we do, and we believe in it, and I believe in them. They believe in me. So it works. It's our culture, man.
Yeah, I like that. I guess I can't remember what we would call it. Probably like plus sets. We used to do that with plus sets. In
Yeah,
college.
we do plus sets too, and it's just described as a plus set is leave 2 to 3 in the tank.
Okay.
Do more than the minimum, and AMRAP is you go till one of those systems of failure is reached.
Right. Yeah. I like it. That's really good. The idea of being able to compete no matter what the weight is, more so the percentage, it makes it, when training partners can be so different at the high school level, right? Like at a rack, you can have so many different, in college, the way that we had it was like, okay, you're going to be very close to the next person that's at your rack. So you're competing with those people on purpose, right? In high school, there's just such a large range. So being able to still compete, but do it based off of percentage, I think is such a great mindset. And then giving kids autonomy, that's where what you're getting with giving them a plus set, or sorry, a AMRAP, but also knowing that, hey, listen, there's a number of factors that will play into what your AMRAP actually looks like, and giving them the autonomy to choose in that. That's empowerment. And that's what kids get addicted to, that because now they know that they can chase when they need to chase and pull back when they need to pull back because my coach trusts me. That's
Yep.
a big deal. When I'm looking through the thing that I wanted to ask you next was when you're doing these level or sorry the actual programming of this, the AMRAPs type stuff, there's got to be like
Yep.
some onboarding to this to like teach it. Do you have different blocks or levels or systems for grade level? Or is it basically, you know what, we're going to teach this from the time they're freshmen through senior, and they're just going to get really good at this system. And like you'll have the changes that you had. You said if the 3 week you'll run some Windler stuff or whatever, but do you kind of keep it the same all the way 9 through 12?
Yeah. Yeah. So our junior high is more linear based, but our high school system is a conjugated program with this wave system. So whatever you want to call it, there's so many different terms. It all means the same thing to me. But I'm not linear. We wave every 4 weeks. It's going to go 65, 75, 85, 95 back down. When it's a new kid, see, that was the problem though, because with our classes, it's everything. Once again, times that by however many we got. Let's just do a nice even round number. You got 80 kids in there, and let's just say 20 have never been in there before. 20 are a 1 year experience. Another 20 is a 2 year. Another 20 is a 3 year experience. Okay, so now you got all those different. And guess what? They're all in different racks together too. Because just because I'm a 3 year experience doesn't mean I'm big, or doesn't mean I'm small. If I'm a no year experience, I can come in and be a giant. So I let them be with their friends. Now I say within reason, you got to be somewhat, similar. And then what we do, because of all of our racks, our middle, we call it our dudes. So that is any male or female that showcases exactly what it means to be Concord strong. You are constantly going to be superset, and you are going to be working your tail end off. When the outside racks look into the middle, because that's where they have to look because of the way our room's set up. So they're looking, all they can see is the middle. They should be seeing examples of how to do everything. The inside racks can't see each other because our racks are faced this way. They can only see the rack across from them, right? So the more inexperienced. And we say it every time. Between me and Coach Kaler, there's 2 people in here. We are vastly outnumbered. There's 80 plus of you. That's not going to be successful. You are all coaches. You go coach. You go help. You know our cues. I talked about that board earlier in my Google Sheets. I have cues for each lift on there, and I don't need a lot. Like for cleans, I can tell you most of the time right now, it's shrug. You didn't shrug enough. Like you can just walk around and tell them, shrug. Make sure you shrug. Like that's the main cue. So it's on there. Shrug. All right. Make sure you get a good shrug. So we empower them, like you stated earlier, to make that work. The junior highs are coming through. I do youth camps as well. The main lift that we really focus on teaching is the clean, making sure that that's caught up, ready to go. But once they get going, we do have some regressions, so to speak. Like for instance, my squat, here's some maturity on my end. My squat is tagged in TeamBuildr. There are, I believe, 8 options for squat. And so I have a young lady now that's a senior who's been with me for 3 years, her first time in the weight room. Her sophomore year, she was a cross-country girl, timid, not timid anymore, so I'm allowed to say she's timid, or was timid. She had the tags. She goblet squatted for a year. And now she loves squat. She can clean. She can squat with a safety bar. She can do every squat. But I think it's because she slow cooked it to what she was comfortable with. And I don't care. I'm fine with that. Clean. Okay. You don't want to catch? Cool. Shrug. Can you shrug? Can you hinge and shrug? Great. All right. Then can you hinge and shrug? I don't do high pulls. We call it scarecrow. Make sure that you've shrugged and then your elbows go out. And then we work on that. Same with deadlift. Because I deadlift, because I'm a horrible, horrible person that deadlifts high school kids, because I teach them how to correctly pick up heavy things. Oh no. I love my sarcasm. But we teach them conventional or sumo. I don't do trap bars. I don't like them as much. And the ones that we do have some. They're the really nice sore necks ones. But if you put a little tiny fresh, let's say a little freshman kid that's like 5'6", 100 and some pounds in that thing is beefy. Like they are made for professional athletes. Those things are huge. So we just do straight bar with that. But once again, okay, well, can you at least kind of hinge? All right. Cause some of them, I think it's from all the sitting. It's really hard to teach kids to do like a good hinge. And have you seen the stretch marks lately on kids' lower back because they're growing? So they're growing in a seated position. It's like first time in human history. You're seeing stretch marks that go horizontally across the lower backs because so many people are going through their growth while spending a majority of their time slumped over in a chair. So you're seeing stretch marks across horizontal lower back. I guarantee if you go to school and you see some of the kids, you'll be like, oh my goodness, I bet you've never noticed it, but it's there. Even fit kids, they'll have it because that's how they're growing now. But we'll teach them how to do those. And okay, do you need a rack pull? Do you just need to do just a hinge, just an RDL, a good morning? I don't care. We can do the reverse hyper. It's fine. In TeamBuildr, they have 100% autonomy to sub an exercise out. Sub it out. I got 1,000 things in there. Pick something else if you can't or won't do it. And then our bench press. And then we teach them how to bench press like a power lifter. So I'm real big on if we're going to do the lift that a power lifter does, we're going to do it like a power lifter because we want the response of being able to just upper body strength, right? To be able to push. But we do. We teach to get your shoulders back. We teach an arch. We teach to have the butt on the bench. We teach 5 points of contact, both feet on the floor, butt on the bench, upper back on the bench, head on the bench. They'll see videos of YouTube with people lifting their head up. And I'm like, that's because you're watching a video of a guy with a bench shirt on. He can't feel the touch. He has to see it. So they have to understand why. All they see is a guy benching 800 pounds thinking that, oh, if I raise my head and slam it back, I'm stronger. It's like, no, he can't feel the bar. He doesn't know when it's touching. He has to see it because he's wearing a bench shirt. So we make sure that we get him, number one, in safe positions. We progress them at the rate that they're good with. But that being said, we're also going to challenge them. I mean, it's a performance-based room. We want to get stronger, but we do not differentiate between, as far as the program, what they're going to have in TeamBuildr and what they're going to see on the screen between a freshman and a senior. The personal interaction with them, where they're at in the room, I'm not going to put them front center in the middle and have eyes on them. That's going to make them feel weird. They're going to be in more of a quote unquote safer spot for them. And they will be talked to probably slightly differently. And that's fine. And they'll progress at their rate. Like it is what it is. But the main formula, if we want to be proficient in the clean, and this is something I've said to quite a few coaches lately, is the clean. There's a lot of great ways to develop power. There's a lot of great ways to do it. I like cleans. You don't have to like cleans. I don't care. We're going to clean because it's a skilled lift. It shows that you are proficient in doing a movement that is difficult. We can stop acting like it's easy, especially as many ugly ones as I've seen on Twitter lately. It's a tough lift, but it's a skill. It's skill acquisition. Shooting a free throw the first time is pretty hard too. So you can't just abandon it. You got to work the technique. And I think that's why we do our AMRAPs. That's why we're higher volume on the clean. Whereas most people will say, oh, you never go over 5. Okay, well, we're working on the skill of it. And it's not going to crush them. Mm-hmm. So they're pretty, kids are pretty resilient. They're pretty tough. We got to give them a little bit more credit than what they get sometimes.
Yeah.
So I think that's important.
Yeah, I admire when coaches like yourself have developed how you're going to do things. You know how to get kids involved and get them rolling in the right direction and be engaged and get better. You know how to work with so many adults. You just know or have a vision for what it should be like and then can chase after it, especially if you've been at one place and you go to another or whatever that looks like. You know that you can build it because you've already built it once, right? Mm-hmm. And then you feel like you can do it again. You just use different pieces, different problems and stuff along the way, but you know that it can happen. And I admire coaches that have done that. And it sounds just like you have a really nice system, a really nice flow, and you know where you want to go with things. So the question is, how do you stay engaged yourself? Like, what are the things that you're interested in right now? What's your vision for this next year, next 2 or 3 years? What are you chasing after to keep you honed in?
Right. I'm chasing after that national coach of the year, but my boy Kate's got it. Um, no, growing what Indiana does with through our advisory board for the NHSSCA is big. Doing my podcast, Caffeinated Coaches, has helped me tremendously because it started off as we were just lifting together, and then we would go out and eat breakfast, and we were trying to do, like, the West Side Club days and stuff, and that's what we were doing. And it was just, we were just lifting. We would lift heavy, we would lift hard, and then it just kind of turned into, I really been wanting a podcast. I want a podcast. I want to do it. I want to try it. And Adam Lane and I, anytime we get in a vehicle, we were like, man, if we would have recorded this, man, it would have been such a great podcast. And every time we got in any of these conversations, like what me and you're doing right now, we would talk through our issues. Now, on mine, do I go through as many problems and stuff? No, admittedly, no, because I don't want any of them to worry about what they're saying, on the air. But that's what I call the floor time for. That's why we get there and we lift and hang out and have a fellowship for 2 hours, or however long it is. Normally it's 2 hours of just hanging out before we even get the mic out. And that has been really important to me. Selfishly, I need it. I'm someone that, I'm literally at the school the whole time. I'm only around these kids that, as I've stated, I try to be a servant leader for. I know I probably made myself sound really good with how I interact with the adults and stuff, but I'd be lying if I said it doesn't eat away at me, that they don't see the vision that I'm trying. I try to make it sound good on here, but there's still battles that I deal with, that my fellow coaches deal with, that I'll try to help them. And that's probably the thing you said for the next couple of years. What am I doing to be better? Is continuing to podcast and reach out to other coaches so I can hear different ways of doing it. I'm currently working on my master's through, I always say it wrong, Santanta College, to get my master's in performance coaching. So I'll be like a performance scientist or something really cool. But I'm working hard on that, like really hard, and continuing to coach like my kids, because it's always been a goal of mine, even though I'm at the school coaching other people's kids all day. And it's hopefully trying to figure out maybe a little bit, I always say a little bit better balance, but I never do. I never will. I know that. So hopefully my family can just keep forgiving me and loving me like I love them, because I'm going to keep pouring into all these kids, because it's what I feel like I should do. The podcasting lets me be goofy. It lets me have fun. Lets me talk to people. Lets me meet cool people like you. The college, the master's program, I'm really doing it to prove I belong with what I talked about earlier, trying to build that new style position. I don't know how many more letters I can get after my name, but I got quite a few, and just trying to do all that. I mean, that's what I see happening. I'll be graduated within the next couple of years of that, and then the next steps is trying to win state titles and win. Although I've won before and it was an empty feeling, but you just got to keep doing it. Expanding the Griffin workouts, which that'll be next month, so that'll be really cool. Continue to read. Well, I do audiobooks, but I just got through a couple really good books, Atomic Habits and Tip. Tip was really good. I really like that. I need to find another book. If any of your listeners could tell me another book that was like Tip, where it's like that edutainment style book, I really got into that book. And like, I really enjoyed it. It helped me get on the treadmill every day. Yeah, hopefully I'm just, a little healthier and a little bit more balanced, but man, who knows? Just being honest.
No, that's a lot of stuff that I think a lot of strength coaches kind of search through is like they are servants. They are
Mhm.
the servant-hearted leadership style. And oftentimes it's give more of yourself, more and more and more. And I think that's also because it's a passion, it's a calling, it's something that strength coaches are striving to do and willing to do. And yeah, yeah, there's a lot of admiration, man. I think that being yourself, being able to get the best out of kids, keep on having all these avenues to for yourself to get better. It's inspiring for me, right? Just to see somebody that's got that amount of passion. Joking around, I think your bed might be at the school, but it, it's really
It's right over there.
yeah.
It's about 10 yards that way.
But man, I truly think that what you're doing for your school district, what you're doing for your community, it does matter. And I'm just thankful that you are making the big time where you're at. I'm thankful that you're taking the time to pour into other coaches and obviously your student athletes and the people that are in your life and most importantly your family. Like just keep on doing it, man. It's always fun when I have a podcast where I'm like, man, I think I need to get better. I need to step up my game, and I'm happy that it happens often. Just these
Yeah.
growth points. So thanks for hopping on. Thanks for taking the time. Thanks for sharing with us. And I know you have to get some sleep. I know you have to because you got another full day tomorrow.
It's always a full day, but I mean, it's what we do. So yeah, I don't know, man. I do appreciate having another opportunity. It's really cool that Paul mentioned me for the round table. Like I dug being on the round table. It's just that's the only way we can all get better, is to reach out. Like I alluded to it earlier, the whole knowledge thing, but it's application, it's coaching, it's these podcasts. I get more from talking and podcasting and doing that than I do from reading.
Mm.
And it probably because my reading retention isn't very good, but uh, I get way more out of it, man. And it feels like a real, like now I just want to drive to Iowa, bro, and hang out. Like, I don't know. I feel cool about it. So I feel like this was good.
Yeah, what we need to do is we'll get an Iowa crew to come over to Indiana, and then an Indiana crew to come over to Iowa. It'll be good. We'll get
Nah,
we'll
that'd be
work something
perfect.
out.
That'd be perfect. Perfect.
Well, Coach, I appreciate you. I'm thankful for you coming on. We're gonna have to figure out a way that you do make it over to Iowa now, and keep on making the big time where you're at, man.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.